Hey guys, alright, we're finally to the CSS part of this series. I realized that the HTML took quite a bit of time. I could have just copy and pasted, but I kind of just wanted to go through it line by line just so you can see exactly what's going on. Alright, so what we're going to do is start our CSS and we're going to work inside of our SASS files or our SCSS files. Okay, so I want to start with the actual body and some of the base styles. Alright, so what I want to do is open up, actually, let me just start over with this. So if you go to your SCSS folder and then base.scss, that's where we're going to start, and I'm going to start with the body. Alright, so font family. We're going to use this, I'm not exactly sure how to pronounce it, it's SEGOE UI, so Sego, I'm not sure how you say it. Alright, and then we're going to also include SEGOE WP, and also regular. Alright, and then sans serif. Okay, so that's our font. I want to set the font size. Now I should mention right now, I'm not going to do the variables yet. We're just going to do our regular CSS, and then we'll work in the variables after. Alright, because I'm going to have a variable for the font size, maybe even for the font family. But right now I'm just going to put it right in. Line height, we'll do 1.7 em, and then the color, the base color, will be dark gray. Okay, so let's just see if that made any difference. Okay, you can see the font changed, the color changed. And remember, we're not in the CSS file, we're in our SCSS file. Now you need to have Scout going, okay? Your project should have this little square stop icon. Alright, if you don't have this going, it's not going to compile into the CSS file. Alright, so links, I just want to set a color, and that's going to be that bluish color, or the primary color, which is 00AFF0. Alright, lists. Okay, list, I want to set, I don't want any bullets, so list style none. And let's see what else. I want to set, actually, I'm also going to open the normalize, because I want to set my headings to not have any margin on the top. H2, H3, H4. Alright. And let me just show you the CSS file, because it gets generated whenever we save the SCSS file. Alright, so you can see we have our H1s from our normalize SCSS file, and then the body is from the base, and you can see it has the comments and the line numbers. Alright, and that's because we have it on development mode. If we change it to production mode, we won't get that. Alright, so next let's do, what else do I have here? Inputs. I want to set the border radius to 0. Okay, I don't want rounded edges on the forms and stuff. So input, also text area and buttons. Border radius 0. Actually, you know what? I think I will do the variables and the mixins and all that, because it might be too much of a pain to go back after and look for where we need to put them. So let's do that. Alright, so in the SCSS base folder, I want to open up variables and mixins. Okay, so variables, let's set, we'll have font colors, we'll have background colors, alright, so font colors, we'll say base font. Okay, now when you use variables, you need to use a $sign in the beginning. Alright, base font size, I'm sorry, it shouldn't be an equals, you should have a colon. Will be 15 pixels. Alright, so now we should be able to go to base, and then instead of having 15 pixels here, we'll say base font size. Okay, so let's check that out. And just to make sure that it's definitely working, let's try and change it to 25. Alright, so you can see now it's working. Alright, so that's the base font size. Let's do base font family. And I'm just going to grab this. Try that. Alright. Is that right though? Is that the color? Is that the right font? Let me try changing this. Okay. Alright, never mind. Alright, so we get font size, font family. I think that's good. You know, I mean, I don't like to have too many variables. Not really any reason for that, but some of it, I just think that some developers, it's just unneeded to have, you know, lines and lines of variables, especially when you know you're not going to be changing it. The base color, font color, I want to do. Base font color. Alright, so for the background, let's do primary color. Okay, and that's going to be this here. So I can just replace this here with primary color. Okay, so we'll do a secondary color, and that's going to be that greenish color. So I'll paste that hexadecimal value in. Alright, light color. That's going to be that light blue. And then we'll do a dark color. And I'll set that to really dark gray. Alright. So that looks good. So now you can use these variables throughout your site, and if you ever want to change the theme colors, you just change them here, and they'll iterate through your entire website. Alright, so that's definitely one of the best things about using a preprocessor. Alright, so mixins. We're not going to have very many. I do want to have one for border radius, because when you do this, when you set a border radius, you should always use the prefix, at least for Mozilla and Chrome for WebKit. So you'd say Moz border radius 0, and also WebKit border radius 0. Alright, so instead of doing this, we'll create a mixin. So let me just copy this. I'll cut it. Go to mixins. And what we need to do is say @mixin, and then the name of it, I'm just going to call it border radius. Alright, and then it's going to take a parameter, which is going to be the number of pixels, or the radius, and then I'm going to paste this code in and just change this here to radius. So it works just like a function. Alright, so now back in my base, I can just say include, border radius, and we can just throw in here 0 pixels. Alright, so let's make sure we have no errors. Alright, so when you have an error, it'll actually show you in the browser. Alright, which is kind of cool to have a CSS error handler. Alright, so moving on, for base, I think that's pretty good. For normalize, I just want to add a margin top for page headers. Page header, and we'll say margin top 30 pixels. Okay, so save that. So for now, I'm going to get out of the base file and move on to the Navbar. So we want to go in Layouts, Nav. Alright. So for the core Navbar class, we're going to overwrite a lot of the Bootstrap styles. Alright, so I'm going to set a width of 90%, margin auto, and we'll get into nesting here as well, which is another great feature of SASS. Margin auto, we're going to set a border right, and actually I like to use a mixin for borders, so let's do that. And put a little comment up here. All your CSS from all these files gets thrown in the main.css file, so you want to have it commented as best as you can. Let's see. So we'll do mixin, add border, and this will take. Let's see. We'll say size, color, and position. And we're going to use some if statements here, some if-else statements. Okay, so we're going to say if. Actually, you know what? We don't need parentheses here. We're just going to say if position is equal to all, then we'll say border size, size solid color. Now you could also add the border style in the parameters, but I'm not going to do that because we're pretty much only using solids. So size solid color. Alright, and then we're going to say else if position equals top border top size solid color. Alright, so basically you're going to do that for all the positions. Bottom. If position is bottom, then we're going to say border bottom. Nice. If position is right, left, left. And you could keep going and say top, bottom. Actually, you know what? We are going to do that. Say if position equals top, bottom, because we're going to do that with some of the sections, I think. Actually, I'll just copy this. And then for this, we'll say if position is right, left. And then we'll just change this. Alright, so I think that takes care of all situations. So now, we want to, what do we want to do? We want a border on the right and the left of the navbar. So we'll say include add border, and the first one is going to be size, so we'll say 1 pixel. Okay, next is going to be color. In this case, I'm just going to use a grayish. Alright, and then the position, which is going to be right, left. Okay. I'm going to change the minimum height. By default, I think it's 50. I'm going to change it to 60. And background is going to be white. And we want to give it a margin bottom of 30 pixels. Alright, so something isn't right. Did we include the nav in the main file? Layouts. Huh. Invalid CSS after, else if expected. Okay, so we have an error in our code. It's in the mixins, line 13. Else if position equals top. Oh, you know what? We need to have an @ symbol for all these else ifs. Alright, let's see if that works. Alright, there we go. So our navigation does look different. Okay, we have this black border at the bottom. Excuse me. I want to change that color. So I think I can just say border color. There we go. Alright, so that's the navbar itself. Now we're going to do the links. Now this is where we can use nesting. Normally you would say navbar A, alright, which is going to cover the links in the navbar class. But with SASS, you can go right into the navbar class and just say A. Alright, and this is going to give us the same result as this, which is really cool because this is how it's structured in the HTML. Okay, so we're going to change the color. The color of the links is going to be the primary color. Font size. I'm going to do a letter spacing of -0.5 pixels, and padding bottom, we'll do 24, and padding top, we'll do 20. Alright, save. Alright. Now I also want to do the hover. Actually, you know what? I want to grab, I'm going to do an F12 to use Chrome tools and just check out this right here. I need this class. Well, I'm sorry, these classes. And I should be able to put these, actually I want these out of this. And I'm going to change the background to the primary color, and then the actual color will be white. Okay, so this is my hover colors. This active one, I also want to change that. Oh, so I'm going to grab all this. Throw that in as well. Save. Whoop. There we go. Alright, so now we have that blue hover. So my links aren't reading some of these styles. It's not overriding the default Bootstrap CSS. So we need to add some important tags. Okay, so for the color, just add important. And we're going to do it for the padding as well, because it doesn't look like it's taking. Alright, there we go. This color here is a little messed up. Okay, I also want to add important to these. There we go. Alright, so I think I'm going to stop here, and in the next part we will work on the showcase. And you can see that the content goes behind the navbar, and it's supposed to do that. If you look at the finished product, you can see that the area goes behind it on the home page of the showcase. Alright, so that's why it does that. So that's what we'll do next, is this showcase area.